Thank you for tuning in once more. This is a simple explanation of your Illinois property taxes, Part C, appealing your assessment. So after you receive your property assessment notice, you have 30 days to file an appeal. If you don't, it should be noted, you have no other options to get your tax bill lowered or perhaps get the value of your property changed. Now, it should be noted, first step you should take, if you get it and you don't quite understand how they reach the assessment, is to contact your township assessor. Perhaps set an appointment to meet with them. And if you're unsure of their explanation, make sure you keep asking questions. But if you don't come to an agreement, then you take the next steps. You file your appeal, and we'll show you how you could do that through the local county website in a second. The assessor then files a response to you online. Then a hearing is scheduled with the local county board of review. Now, attending this review is optional. Then the board of review makes a ruling. It's typically no change or a reduction if they think a reduction is warranted. Okay, so now let's go through an example of filling out an appeal form. Most assessors now allow you to file your appeals electronically. You can often find the paperwork right on their website. So, for example, this is the McHenry County Assessor's website, and up on the left-hand side here, e-filing assessment appeals. Then if you scroll down, you'll see that there is a 2021 residential assessment appeal, and open that. So here's an example of the form itself, and most counties follow a type of format like this. Up top, of course, you enter your property index number as well as your property address, your personal information on the left-hand side here, and then if you're using an attorney or a valuation agent to fend for you, this is where you would enter their information. And here's where you can check if you wish to attend the board review hearing or just allow them to review your evidence. Now, this is the most important part of the front page, the appellant's estimate of value. First, of course, you enter your equalized assessed value that's based off of your assessment statement, put it in here, and then your particular estimate of assessed value. I recommend that you enter that after you've gone through the worksheet and reviewed all your comparables. And you can base your appeal on one of several ways. One is comparable assessments. That's where if you think that your assessment is higher than comparable homes around you. Or you can do comparable sales. That's where you feel that, okay, your home is assessed higher than other comparable homes that have sold for less value than what your home is valued at by the assessor. Then there's recent sale of subject. Let's say that an assessor has valued your home at $350,000, but you recently purchased this home for just $300,000. You can just submit your paperwork saying, I purchased this at $300,000, and that would actually lower the fair cash value to that amount. I should note, though, that if it's a foreclosure or a short sale, basically not an arm's length transaction, they generally don't accept those as evidence for an appeal for recent sale of subject. Then there's recent construction costs. If you, built a home from the ground up, and let's say that cost you $250,000, and they assessed your home at $300,000, you could actually submit an appeal based on that the cost of your home, the acquisition of the land and all the building, was actually less, and get it lowered that way. For that, of course, you need to have all your information, all your receipts for it. Then there's recent appraisal. If, for example, you went through a refi and you had a bank appraisal, and that particular appraisal, values your home less than what the assessment is, you can certainly turn in this information. Then there's matter of law, and that's where if you feel that the way your home was assessed, it didn't properly follow the law or follow the property tax code. For that, I'd recommend using an attorney. And of course, down here, make a signature. This is if you are doing multiple parcels. But then this is the most critical worksheet, and make sure you put your information up top. This is where you enter your particular information for your home, and make sure you fill out all of these forms, or all of these spaces. And then you enter your comparables. You need to make sure you enter at least 3 comparables. And again, if you have more than 4, if you think you have ample evidence, you can just print an extra copy of this worksheet and submit that as well. But the most critical things, again, is you have sale price per square foot. We discussed that in the first section. Then another critical one is improvement assessment per square foot. Now, here's some key tips when you're filling out this paperwork. First of all, make sure you use comparable homes to yours. Like, for example, if you own a tri-level, don't use a luxury ranch home as a comparable, a model that is just completely different from yours. Another thing, too, is use homes in close proximity. If you find a home like yours with a lower value, but it's 10 miles away, that might be a tough comp to use. Now, that being said, if you live in a more rural area, such as farmland, and you find a comparable home 5 or 10 miles away, that might be worthy of a submission. It just depends on the context. Now, also, too, for sales comparisons, make sure you use home sales that are close to January 1st of the year that you're appealing on. So let's say if you're doing an appeal in 2021, don't use a home sale from, say, 2018 or 2016 as a comparable. You can also use comps up to 6 months after the January 1st assessment date, although there's no hard, firm date. Another thing, too, is don't use foreclosures or short sales as comparisons, because those are not considered market value transactions, and the Board of Review will likely just ignore those. Now, there are several resources that you can use. It does take a little bit of research and a little bit of time, but if you do win your appeal, it is worth it. First is just the Township Assessor website. They often list property cards, but also recent sales and possibly other information. It's the local assessor dependent. Then you have the County Assessor website. There's usually a lot of resources on there, such as sales by township. You can also use real estate websites like Zillow and others, but it should be noted that information on those websites may be inaccurate, so you might want to double check the information. And also, don't use the website's estimate of the value of your home. I can just say from personal experience, Zillow once estimated my home more than $100,000 lower than what it actually was. Now, here's an example of an appeal based on comparable sales. So this is one where the equalized assessed value was about $119,000, and the appellant's estimate was going to go down to $115,000. So the sales dollars per square foot for this particular unit was about $114. So now you want to find comparables that have lower sales dollars per square foot. So here's a sheet that was filled out, and make sure you filled in all this particular information. So again, the sales dollars per square foot was about $114 based on the fair cash value. And if you'll see, like comparable one was only $87, 87 sales dollars per square foot. Comparable two is $84 or $93 or $103. Here you have values that are significantly lower than the subject home. Now, another thing too, let's say you have an appeal based on comparable assessments. That's where improvement assessment per square foot is critical. And this is an example of one where surrounding homes have lower improvement dollars per square foot than the subject home. So here you have a home that was about $58.68 a square foot, and then comparables were up at about $54.74 a square foot, or $40.46 a square foot, $47.31. So here it's something significantly lower. You want to make sure that it's a significant amount. Like, for example, if you just submit comps that are just $2 or $3 lower, that wouldn't be significant enough for the Board of Review to determine or lower the assessment of your home. But again, make sure all of this information is filled out, especially the square footage, so you can make a proper calculation. Now, when you have your appeal paperwork filled out, perhaps you have it scanned, or that type of thing, you can then go to submit your appeal. And here's where you can file it electronically. So here, of course, you put your information, your contact information and address, email address and PIN, appeal type. There are multiple parcels. Basically fill out the questions. Then this is where you can upload your completed form. And then this is also where you can submit additional documentation. Perhaps you want to perform a written statement as to why you feel that your particular home should be assessed less than other homes around it. Then, of course, once all that is done, you click submit. Now, another feature as well is after you have submitted your appeal, you can actually track the paperwork submitted online, such as the assessor's response. So, for example, on the McHenry County Assessor's website, you can go up to Board Review. And then Assessment Appeal Lookup. Now, this is just a basic page like this where you can just enter the PIN number of your home, or even if you want to see for the entire township, like let's say we could do for McHenry Township, year 2020, click search. And here you will have the paperwork of all the particular appeals for McHenry Township. And you'll see for any particular appeals where more than 100,000 reduction, these are up here, supporting documents, assessor responses, as well as final decisions for all the appeals. Again, this is all public record. Now, next question. The Board of Review makes a ruling. You're notified by mail. What if you lose your appeal? After that, you have two options if you still feel that your assessment is improper. First is you can appeal to the Property Tax Appeal Board. Now, that's basically the Board of Review for the state of Illinois. And for instructions on that, you go to ptab.illinois.gov online. Now, it should be noted this is a longer process than the local Board of Review. In fact, this could take a year or 2 years. And it might be worth hiring an attorney or performing a professional appraisal of your home as evidence. Now, another one you can do is file a tax objection with the local circuit court. So, for example, those court cases cited in Part A, those started out as tax objections. But again, for that, we recommend an attorney or some type of professional that knows how to maneuver that type of case. But it should be noted, you can't file either of these if you haven't done a Board of Review appeal. And with either of these, you still need to pay your property tax bill when it comes due, even if you file an appeal of one of these. Now, if you win your PTAB or you win your tax objection, a tax refund of what you paid is issued to you later. So that does it for this video. And again, just to review, we gave a simplified explanation of how to read your home assessment and your property tax bills. And I do hope that was informative. Then the second one is we gave just a simplified tax example of just how this whole mechanism works, including a discussion of how your taxes might go up. And then what we just discussed is, of course, appealing the assessed value of your home. Now, again, you have resources that you can look up yourself, such as training materials, stuff from the Illinois Department of Revenue, introduction to residential assessment practices. But again, if you don't 100% understand the tax mechanism and the way in which you are taxed or your assessment, just keep asking questions. You will get to the bottom of how this all works. Thank you, and have a good day.